Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Trying a new background. We'll see how this goes. I'm not sure. The digital background thing kind of messes with you pretty good. And I'm wearing a hat. So it was a little busy day running around. It was pretty awesome to get this. We were very efficient today. So that was good. Kids stuff always, like how it runs. You're just running all over the place. So anyway, welcome to Whole Health Weekly. I'm Jeremy Myers. It's nice to see you guys again. We didn't do Sunday show, which is our 1% tribe. I put in the comments, hopefully you'll see it. That's where our Rumble channel is. Also our podcast it's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's all those kind of things. So if you like listening more than watching, that's the podcast. What got me started with this was just a straight podcast, and I absolutely loved it. And I was gaining a little bit. I was gaining some good things. I still want to put those in here. I'll probably have it in Whole Health Weekly or 1% Tribe. I'll try to get some more interviews going. They're just hard to set up, and so I was like, man. And I didn't want to wait around until, you get the right interview or, those kind of things. So what I've been doing is, like having great topics. So tonight is all about things that are in the news, health wise. And we take it from a holistic spin in the chiropractic world. So remember, in chiropractic, we're all about the body heals itself in the sense of the body needs no help. It just needs no interference. So with that said, this is week 17. So that means you all get to hear the 17th principle, chiropractic principle. This is a pretty quick one today. 17th chiropractic principle of the 33 chiropractic principles. Okay. So the 33 chiropractic principles are based on this. And I'm just going to give a real quick synopsis. We do this every time. So there's a universal intelligence around us. It surrounds everything we do. It's nature. Let's call it nature. So all the things in nature, right? From the rocks to the trees, there's always a deliberate intelligence that is within that. We have inborn in us an innate intelligence in our matter that allows this in our matter that we are to interact with this universal intelligence. So we have an internal intelligence and a universal intelligence. So those two have to interact. And if they interact perfectly, we have perfect health. Okay. So that's the basic synopsis before I get too lost in the weeds. But if you haven't heard all of them, just go through the Whole Health Weeklies each week. The first beginning, we go through principle 1 through now it's 17. But this one is very simple. I love the simplicity of these 33 principles is really important as well. So the 17th chiropractic principle, it's cause and effect. Every effect has a cause, and every cause has effects. Ooh. Now, I love that one because many, many, many times in our sick care model of our current system, everything's a sick care. It's just what it is. And we look at the effects and not the cause. Our entire system is built on looking at effects and not the actual cause. And so you have to, step back in health and find out what those causes are. here's a symptom. Why is that symptom occurring? Okay. Now, you got great medical doctor, you have great people that will try to do that, but many, many, many treatments that we have in our world are all based on symptoms, not really on the cause. If they can reduce the symptom of pain all over your body, then they think that might somehow stimulate the cause to be found. But we have to find the cause and maybe even use the medication or whatever for the symptom, but we must find that cause. It's a journey. Health is always a journey. So just remember that. I'll read it again because it's really easy one this week. Cause and effect. Principle 17 is called cause and effect. Every effect has a cause, and every cause has effects. Very, very good. Okay, so let's get into them. These are the topics of this week. My office manager, Gina, has given me some topics that I thought were interesting. We're going to start with that one because it's a little controversial, so we might as well do it. Okay, so it sounds like there's like measles outbreaks. Okay, so measles outbreaks is happening. I don't know if I'd call it an outbreak first. So one of the things that happens in our news is because certain people get into certain positions, and all of a sudden, certain people with certain things that they want to pass and create chaos will start that. Okay. So what I've found is that, as we go, these things are going to happen regardless of vaccination rates. So there's always a caveat to those topics. If you go look and see, is it a measles outbreak or did we have some measles before it made the news? Okay. And the reason it would make the news now is because there may be a panic on a certain measles medication or whatever you want to call it to have issues, right? So if people are not taking it as much or whatever, right? And politically it's a thing. However, just be cautious. Read all the material because they use these big words, they always have in the news, and cause different things. I'll give you a story about this. So this one is a true story. Our office used to be right next to a pharmacy, and the pharmacist was as big into chiropractic as we were. He loved chiropractic. Phenomenal pharmacist. Another piece of your healthcare should always be a really good pharmacist that knows who you are. Okay. I don't care where it's at, but get to know your pharmacist because that person knows a ton of knowledge on these different medications. If there's something you have to take, it is the best thing to have make that part of your health team. Okay. And so this pharmacist comes over and he's getting adjusted. And I was a pretty big news guy. Most of you from Battle Creek will say like News Channel 3. I just remember every morning I'd get up, look at the weather, those kind of things. And I remember this story when I first started in chiropractic. This is 25 years ago. That they said, "Oh, this just in. There's a flu shortage or flu vaccine shortage or flu shot shortage." And then it showed a picture of a pharmacy, like a big chain pharmacy, and a line out the door. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm not a big fan of those things, but whatever. So, but I thought, okay, we're right next to a pharmacy, so that's going to probably cause our parking lot to be more packed than usual. So this pharmacist comes over and he gets adjusted. And I'm like, man, are you ready for your day? And he's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, I go, well, the news said this morning there's like a flu shot shortage. And he goes, no, do you want one? I got plenty over there. I go, no. I was like, I'm just curious. Like, I thought there'd be a line out your door. He goes, Jeremy, look at me. He goes, "That's an ad." I go, "What?" He goes, "That's an ad." And then closer look at it, they actually showed a picture of a pharmacy because it all looks the same. It looks kind of very, very similar in each town. It was a different town, but it was the pharmacy, but it looked just like ours in flashing because in the subconscious you don't really grab the whole image. So I thought it was our pharmacy, like down the road, this big commercial one, right? And it wasn't. They used it in the background, and it was literally an ad on the news desk. I hope people understand what that means. That is insane to even be legal. I didn't know that was legal, but we found out later that it is legal. It is absolutely legal to do, but it's one of the problems we have when it comes to these kind of things. Cause chaos, cause your brain to sprint out there to get something possibly you don't need, right? So that was interesting, like as you go. But this one, give it some time. What's the best thing for any kind of outbreak? I don't care what it is. Vitamin D, C, and zinc. Make sure your immune system's going crazy. Not a lot of sugar, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Does not matter, right? If your immune system is strong, we will get through this together, even though you're going to hear it in the news over and over again because there's a narrative on a certain person that's in the health space currently because they all think, oh, it's such a tragedy to have all these different things. And you can be on both sides, right? I'm not going to argue it, in all kinds of worlds, but it is one of those things that I don't care whichever way you do. It doesn't matter, but just understand, really research those because a lot of these titles will freak people out and it's not fair. It never has been fair to do that, but it's how they grab your attention. So that's my take on that one. Let me get, what was the other one? Oh, so she also brought up, we talked about this the other day. And I think I have, I think I did a video a while ago on things for diet. Okay, so GLP-1 is back in the news. So that is the GLP-1 is essentially like a hormone. Essentially, let's call it a hormone. So it's a hormone that actually causes your body, it causes your body to think it's full. Okay, so it causes your body to think it's full. They found things that allow chemical that's, I'm sorry, I did it wrong. Okay, so GLP-1 is one that, yes, that's true. Okay, so this new chemical out there stimulates your body to produce the GLP-1 situation that allows you to not feel like you're hungry anymore. Okay, if that makes sense. The problem with those, and I'm going to use digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes you can get a natural product that's a digestive enzyme. Casey's here. Yeah, baby. That's good stuff. You're going to learn a lot. That's my little brother. He's in. It's going to be great. Okay. So this GLP-1 is this so let's go to digestive enzymes. So digestive enzymes, if you take digestive enzymes, the problem with doing that over time is your brain. Remember, we talk about the innate intelligence of the body. If your intelligent body goes, hey, he's getting digestive enzymes from somewhere else, or is he going to take it? Do you think your body's going to produce it? No, it's got other stuff to do. So what it's going to do is stop. It's going to stop producing those enzymes. So when you stop taking the digestive enzymes, now your body's like, where did that go? Now, eventually it'll start producing them again. But same thing with the GLP-1. If we're making this hormone come across and it makes you feel full, right? When I take that away, like it's whatever that medication is, that's why the guarantee is you have to be on that product for forever, or else you won't have the hormone that tells you you're full anymore because your body stops making it. So, like Gina, when we were talking about it, what is some good herbals? So there's been some really good studies on berberine. Berberine's a really, really good one. There's several out there, but it just depends on you. It depends on how your body kind of goes into that situation. So those are the two I wanted to get into. That was the TikTok news of the week. So that was really fun. Now, let's look at. So we did. So a little out of practice. You miss one day. Like I missed the 1% tribe this Sunday, and I'm like off, trying to get it rolling again. But here is the top news articles, and we're going to talk about them today. So let me get to the top ones. Oh, this one's big. Microplastics in human health. Research from a New Mexico lab estimates a significant plastic accumulation in human brains, equivalent to 5 bottle caps worth, raising concerns about its health effects. Studies are ongoing to understand the implication. So these microplastics, you'll know them also as PFAS. It's in a lot of stuff, guys. It's in a ton. Our plastic water bottles, to our clothing, to these little microplastics. Let me look up a good definition of that since I'm here. Because I like to, I know what they do are bad, but how do you got to know all the stuff. How do we get these? Okay. So let's talk about that. Okay. So ingestion is the major way. Okay. It's through food and water. Like a lot of our food and water has these microplastics in them. Fruits, veggies, sugars, bottled water, those kind of things. Plastic packaging, food and drink stored in plastic containers or wrapped in plastic leach microplastics, especially when they're heated. Processed foods, highly processed foods like chicken nuggets contain more plastics than minimally processed options. Okay. Personal care products, microbeads in toothpaste, face scrubs, cosmetics are ingested unintentionally. Inhalation is another way to get them. Through airborne microplastics, which is crazy that could actually be a thing. Environmental exposure, like rain, air, it can be in the dust. It's almost unavoidable to have some kind of microplastics in you. Face masks, that's one of the reasons this PFAS thing came up, because the face mask was actually, you're sucking in a ton of those. And you get all those little fibers off of the mask. Skin to contact, personal care products, textiles, environmental exposure, crazy amount of ways to get this. Okay. But here's the crazy part. The reason it's such a big issue is because of where it accumulates in the body. Okay. So all these studies are showing that they have been found in blood, lungs, liver, kidneys, brain, which is what that study was showing, testicles, placenta, breast milk, and arteries. Nanoplastics, which are really small, can cross the blood-brain barrier or placenta accumulating in organs. And we don't, okay, this is the other part of this article. And it's really, really hard to get rid of them. Okay. So it's harder to get it out of your body. And it's, through the feces or urine. So they are major. Now, remember, like when we're talking about inflammation all the time, we say a lot of times enemies come in. So like I just did a little talk on inflammation or fake sugar. So fake sugar, the problem with fake sugar is, I just had it. Sorry, guys. Okay. So here's my example. So you have a truck. Okay. So here's your truck. And here's a little piece of sugar. So the truck is the chemical that the chemists make to bring the sugar into your body. So the sugar comes into your body, and then this piece of sugar gets burned off, takes off. Okay. It's used as energy, right? Here's the problem. You still have the truck in your body. So this truck is still here, but your body doesn't know what to do with it. So what it becomes is a foreign invader to your immune system. When that happens, then what happens when you have a foreign invader to your immune system? The inflammation process goes nuts. It attacks this truck until it's gone. That is the problem with, like, let's say fake sugar. This microplastics is acting just like that. So it's a very big concern, something I wouldn't worry, lose sleep over. But there's a lot of cool things you can do, filter your water, get, more metal type. Oops. Man, I tried this new background. I'm not sure if I like it. Okay. Like metal containers or glass containers, for your water. And you'll see a big difference there. Okay. So just remember that that's a big thing in the subjects now, but it's going to act like the foreign invader in your body, causing inflammation, possibly all over your body. Okay. So microplastics is a big one. And these are all big topics of this week. And we talked about the measles outbreaks. This one's interesting. Casey, beyond this one. Okay. Mental health and psilocybin use. All right. And we'll look up that in a second because I can't remember what that is. Increased use of psilocybin, especially among those with mental health conditions, is noted, with studies exploring its potential benefits. Digital mental health interventions for obsessive compulsive symptoms are also trending. Interesting. All right. So let's look up what is... See, you don't have to know everything. All right. Okay, so psilocybin is a naturally occurring psychedelic compound found in certain species of mushrooms, commonly known as magic mushrooms or shrooms. It belongs to the class of tryptamine alkaloids and is known for its psychoactive effects, which includes altered perceptions, hallucinations, and changes in mood and cognition. Here's a concise breakdown. Okay, so we don't have to go through the whole concise breakdown. I'd caution anyone on mushrooms, magic mushrooms especially. I'd be very, very diligent until we find out more information on like how those go. I alluded to, it's just like anything that gets your brain changed. Okay. So anything that puts you into a different state potentially has some major issues. Smoking weed, mushrooms, all these different things are brain alterers. Okay. So we really, in the mushroom world, there's a lot of studies done, if done in a very distinct doctor setting, right? That could make a big difference. The problem is like a lot of people take it on themselves to do that, and it could be a thing, especially magic mushrooms. And I am super pumped because eventually I'm going to get into the herbal world where there's some really good ones. If you guys want to start the world of mushrooms, oh my gosh, get lion's mane. Get lion's mane as powdered. I promise you will love it. Lion's mane doesn't have any magic mushroom, nothing brain altering, but it is you feel the difference in that. Lion's mane tea. Reishi is a Chinese mushroom that in the herbal world, if in the Chinese medicine world, if they give you reishi at their house, they like you, because it's a very nice tea. Some of these are they have a lot of good antioxidant rich food, and so you just got to be careful with the ones that are the brain alterers, but study the mushrooms, and especially if it's your gig at the lion's mane. I've seen some crazy cool, stories on immune processes improving, those kind of things. There's no date. I don't know if I have any data to support that, what it actually does and those kind of things. However, once you see it for real life, and it's a very good one, right? So there's quite a few mushrooms, shiitake, reishi, lion's mane. Those are probably my three I would try, and I do it as a tea. In my herbal world, remember, teas are awesome to introduce things because they're really, really light and your body will accept it better than like a tincture or a supplement. So a lot of times that's a really good thing to do. All right. Let's go to okay. So let's go to oh, okay. This is a good one. This is an article that it's exercise and nutrition for menopause. So, exercise and proper nutrition are emphasized for menopausal relief, with the study showing that the actual weekend warrior path, where the mom works out all weekend, actually has a better chance at having menopausal symptoms go away. One of the problems is like we have, like exercise makes sense. I always suggest doing, especially if you're a female in the menopausal world, doing weightlifting. The reason I like that is because it kind of increases your testosterone level and kind of helps balance you out in those menopausal situations. There's a lot there that could help. Rachel's system with the weight loss system that she does, that's a healthy habit system, is really, really good at helping with the menopausal type symptoms too, because it helps with metabolism. So a lot of times if you have those kind of out of control menopausal symptoms, big one is to either kind of get into weightlifting, which a lot of ladies don't know a lot. Some do, but once they get into it, it's hilarious because they become beast mode. I tell everybody, guys are jealous of how fast women get defined in a gym, and women get mad because men lose weight quicker. But it's crazy. Try weightlifting. Just throw around a few little pounds here and there, and you watch, because the menopause, that will help a lot. Okay. So let's go into our next one. Okay, so now we can get out of the top ones. There's a big debate on fluoride in the water. It's a no-brainer. You don't need it, but it's one of those things. In fact, it probably caused problems more than it has, but I don't want to get, who knows? Who knows where that'll lead? We've been stuck with it for this long. For some reason, people think that's this great thing to stick in the water. It's not. It's not. That's just, unfortunately, I won't go too far into the weeds on that, but that's not something to be too concerned about. I promise you. Okay. Because it's one of those where if it changes, it'd be great. But if it doesn't, the human body has an innate intelligence around it, and it's going to be fantastic. Okay. So now let's get into cool stuff. So you heard all the topics. All right, let's see. Ooh, I like this. So this one, I always go to my favorite article, my favorite guy. His name's Dr. Mercola, and he has a great site. So go to drmercola.com to get a lot of good holistic health information, constantly updating all the newest, latest articles on holistic things. So we're going to read a couple of those articles now, and then see where it goes. All right. So the first one I have, the title is, this is just today, and this daily habit could be stealing years off your life. And this is written by, this is written by Dr. Joe. Analysis is by Dr. Joe Mercola. Okay. So sugary drinks linked to more than 330,000 deaths a year. Sugar sweetened beverages are linked to 338,240 deaths annually and contributed to 2.2 million new type 2 diabetes cases in 2020, representing about 1 in 10 cases globally. Sugary drinks cost the world 12 million healthy years of life in 2020 and are associated with 1.2 million new cardiovascular disease cases, 1 in 30. Latin America, the Caribbean, and the sub-Saharan African face the highest health impacts, with some countries attributing nearly half of new diabetes cases to sugary drinks. Processed fructose, especially high fructose corn syrup, in sweetened beverages overwhelms your liver, promotes fat storage, and contributes to insulin resistance and fatty liver disease. Unlike natural sugars in whole fruits, added fructose in drinks lacks fiber and nutrients, delivering a concentrated sugar load that disrupts the metabolism and drives chronic disease. Okay, there's a big difference, a big reason to not do sugary drinks. I'm telling you, the chemists know how to get your brain addicted to those. It is so bad. There is no process. It is drinking poison, essentially. So you must think about these things when you're doing them. Okay. Is it going to happen? Yes. All of us do it. It's not a thing. You know, my kid will have a Sprite once in a while. She's not a huge but it happens, right? As long as the rest of your body, the rest of your time, you're drinking water, you're doing the natural things, adding sugar, honey, lemon, all the good natural sugars, they don't act like an enemy to your body. So your liver knows what to do. But if you saw that is huge amount of problems in our world. Not only, but the biggest piece of that article I wanted you to hear, this is what it does to you. Think about this. It overwhelms your liver, promotes fat storage, and contributes to insulin resistance and fatty liver disease. Fatty liver, we don't want liver problems, especially if you're not a drinker. Let's say you're not even an alcoholic drinker. You're going to have those issues, right? And so, I was watching this podcast. It was like, I get frustrated sometimes. The podcaster was like really whining because they've had a liver problem for a really long time. But it's a video. So I'm watching her drink a Monster. And this podcaster supposedly is a scientist of some sort, like a biologist. And I'm going, what are you doing? You have a Monster in your hand. And you said you had a liver problem. Like that's a bad combo. I'd probably start there, like the simple things, guys. The simple things can really change your life. And that's what you really want to do. Change the simple, right? We don't want to wait till we have a liver problem. I promise you. We don't want to wait until our kidney doesn't work. I promise. Those are things, those are symptoms to a bigger cause. And so a lot of times sugary drinks can be a massive undertaking to get off of and get released from, from the addiction side. However, it's totally worth it. What I recommend people do is don't try to stop sugary drinks. Try to do one more glass of water. And a lot of times you can start changing that course. Okay. So that's one of the things that happens. We get too hung up on trying to make it through a whole day. I watch it happen. Somebody was like, oh, I didn't do Coke all day. I got a headache, all this stuff. Don't do that. Do the Coke, but then start increasing your water so much you feel like a water buffalo for a couple days. Then you'll stop drinking the Coke anyway, because you'll be drinking something all the time. So you help kind of create the lasting habit. So just remember that, because it's a tough one. It's a tough one to break, but here's what I do know. The amount of patients that I have got real serious about making sure they get off of the pop. Once they do that, they feel so much better, probably better than they ever have. And then they're so addicted to making sure their body's hydrated because they don't want to go back feeling that way. Okay. So sugary drinks also leads to massive dehydration. The reason is because it's like, think about it like Kool-Aid. So here's my drink. Okay. Here's my water. And sugary drinks is basically taking those Kool-Aid pouches and just pouring all that powder into the drink, right? So eventually, if I pour enough into here, it's going to start getting dry and grainy and mushy, right? And that's what happens to your body. So remember that as we go. Hopefully that was a good one. All right. Ooh, this one's a kind of a cool one. What happens to your brain? This is another Dr. Mercola. What happens to your brain when you ditch your cell phone for 3 days? That's it. Could 3 days without your cell phone change your brain? A new study reveals surprising insights into how even a short tech break impacts cravings and attention. A 72-hour break from cell phones triggered increased cravings in study participants. Brain scans showed heightened activity in reward centers when shown phone images. Interesting. Cell phones stimulate your brain's pleasure center, similarly to other rewards, creating dopamine hits that lead to dependency. Your brain's attention center becomes increasingly focused on phones, making it difficult to concentrate on other tasks without feeling pulled back to check your device. Regular phone breaks help manage cell phone dependence. Strategies like setting phone-free times during meals or before bed reduce cravings. Excessive phone use negatively impacts focus, sleep, and mood, creating addiction-like patterns that interfere with overall well-being. I can agree with all of that. All right. That is interesting. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else in this article. Oh, okay, here we go. Research wanted to see what happens when you take a cell phone break. So they asked 25 young adults to ditch their phone for 72 hours. They used brain scans to check how their brains reacted to phone pictures after. The results might surprise you. Your brain could light up with cravings, but there's good news too. Let's explore what they found and how it affects you. How the study worked, what they discovered. Let's go here. So what they discovered after the break, parts of the brain tied to wanting things got more active when they saw the phone pictures again. It's like your brain missed your phone and got super excited to see it again. The break made their brains hungrier for the phone rewards. And that's interesting. Oh, and so the parts that were when they took it away, the parts of your brain that were affected the most were your brain's pleasure center and the reward center. Crazy. That is so fun. Okay. All right. So I won't read this whole thing, but if you can see, the one thing that does happen that was fascinating is that once you take the phone away, you start craving other stuff because the pleasure center is now not being stimulated. That's fascinating. So you'd have to fight through that portion, especially if you're like a cookie guy like me or something. All of a sudden, you wouldn't have your phone. And what are you going to do? You're going to go get that pleasure center figured out. So chocolate or whatever. So you'd have to watch that. But look how much effect it has on your brain. So that was a pretty good article. I like that. So just try that 3-day detox. All right. Ooh. Let's do this one now. Okay, let's do this one. This one's just good for information. Let me give you an example of what this is. So mitochondria are these little powerhouses of your cell. With those powerhouses, they do a lot of stuff. They do energy. They do a lot of things. So this article is about what a mitochondria is. And there's a lot of damage that happens to these super organelles, basically, of the cell that we want to make sure that we don't have happen to us. Okay. So mitochondria are very important. Energy, processing. It's kind of like think if your cell was a computer, it'd be like the big memory chip, in there. So let's look. So this one's called how mitochondria help fight infections and calm autoimmune storms. Buried inside your cells is a flare-like molecule that holds the key to surviving infections and quieting autoimmune chaos, but it's very easily silenced. Okay. Macrophages, that's a immune system cell. Okay. So that's one of the many ones. So macrophages and mitochondria are immune partners. Macrophages clear germs and control inflammation, while the mitochondria in the cell, it powers the cell and signals the macrophages to start doing their work. So mitochondria are part of the cell. It's what we call an organelle. It's like an organ inside the cell. A macrophage is a cell all itself, right? But it's an immune system cell. So this immune system cell is actually stimulated through communication from the mitochondria of the other cells, of your normal cells. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So we need to make sure that our mitochondria are working properly to be able to communicate to the immune cells to make sure that we're doing it in the proper way. So mitochondria complex 3 produces superoxide, signaling macrophages to release IL-10, or the off switch for inflammation. Interleukin 10 is what it's called. The key for preventing chronic and autoimmune issues. Research showed that impaired mitochondrial complex 3 reduces that interleukin 10, and that makes inflammation go unchecked. Naturally boosting this mitochondrial complex 3 through fiber-rich diets, okay, for butyrate, sunshine exposure, exercises, and spices or herbs like garlic to enhance your body's inflammation control mechanisms. Healthy mitochondria, which is actually threatened, hopefully that'll start changing too, because we're seeing that in the commercial space as well. The mitochondria are really injured by seed oils. So the thing you hear about, this processed seed oils and all those kind of things, that's how mitochondria get hurt. And that's why it's such a big deal that we use something different than these seed oils, like cooking fat, cooking avocado oil, something else, coconut oil, something different than, the ones they call, canola, and you'll understand the ones that they have to really process to get these seed oils going. When that happens, it really starts damaging the mitochondria. And if it hurts the mitochondria, what's going to happen? It's going to stop your immune system function because the cells of your body are not communicating very well. Okay. I won't go too deep in the weeds on that. That was a good article, though. So Dr. Mercola, that's where that came from. All right. If you guys have any stuff that you'd like me to go over to, anybody that's watching currently, throw it in the comments. I'd love to do that as well. I want this Whole Health Weekly to be kind of like that, where we go answer back and forth questions. So just let me know. Oh, I like this one. Let's do this one, and then we'll call it a night, ladies and germs. Okay. Breastfeeding supports infant gut health and lowers childhood blood pressure. Don't deprive your baby. This is Dr. Mercola again. Don't deprive your baby of this liquid gold. Study shows that the longer they get this precious food from breastfeeding, the more profound the benefits for their gut and health are. Breastfeeding for at least 6 months increases gut microbiome diversity in infants, reducing inflammation and supporting immune function, which contributes to lower blood pressure in early childhood. 1 unit increase in gut microbiome diversity at 1 month of age correlates to almost 2 pressures in like a systolic blood pressure, which is cool. Okay, let me explain this a little bit more with breastfeeding. So when an infant is born, they have no gut bacteria. Okay, maybe a little bit or something, but they have to get their gut bacteria, their gut microbiome begins at birth. So so as the research comes out, there's 3 phases to this gut microbiome. When a baby's born, they call it technically the vaginal gut microbiome. So that's right when the babies come out. The baby then over time starts to develop like a toddler or an infant gut microbiome. And that is, so technically the vaginal microbiome is essentially mom. Okay. So mom's gut microbiome is in the baby. Once mom and dad start handling the baby and doing all these things, you start getting a mix of this gut microbiome more and more to develop into what they do later, which is the adult. So there's the vaginal, infant, baby, I don't know what they call it, and then the adult microbiome. There's 3, it's like a triangle. The faster the kid can get up to the good gut microbiome, the better the immune system will be. Okay. That's what the studies are showing. And so that's why breastfeeding is so critical. It's not just about, you're talking about one of the best, products in the world for children, but you're also talking about the contact, mom holding that baby the entire time. It will help get that gut microbiome going in the right direction. Is it critical? Yes. For a healthy baby. When do they start having major issues? Like, is it before 6 months? Not really. It's after that. So after that, you start getting teething and you start getting snots and you got to start getting sicknesses, right? If the kid has the best gut microbiome between the ages of born and 6 months, you have a really, really good chance of having a nice, healthy baby and a really good baby experience, leading to more babies. I'm just kidding. Okay. So, but that's how that goes, right? So remember that in breastfeeding could have a huge immune system support. So a lot of new moms out there really want to give them the best shot breastfeeding at least up to that 6-month period because of the amount of nutrients that are in there. And that means mom has to stay pretty solid on her diet as well, because that'll help. All right, I'm gonna do one more because that was good, but it was kind of boring for everybody. All right. Oh, this one's good. Okay, let's do this one for anybody dealing with inflammatory bowel disease or IBD. How ginger helps alleviate inflammatory bowel disease. And this is right up my herbalist world. Research studies confirm that beneficial compounds in this humble food help ease gut inflammation, strengthen the intestinal barrier, and regulate the immune response. Ginger has a long history of soothing digestive issues. It always has. And modern research confirms its ability to reduce gut inflammation and support intestinal healing. Inflammatory bowel disease increases the risk of serious health issues. IBDs, like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, cause diarrhea, abdominal pain, and fatigue, increasing the risk of malnutrition, intestinal damage, and colorectal cancer if left untreated. A recent study found that there's a certain active ingredient in ginger that allows the gut to start reducing that inflammation and helps with what they call oxidative stress. So when your your cells get messed up, it's oxidation that's causing that. It also strengthens the intestinal barrier to prevent harmful bacteria from entering the bloodstream. Early use of ginger compounds leads to better outcomes with reduced symptom severity and faster recovery in gut inflammation, especially when started at the first signs of digestive issues. So that's really good. Ginger can be also a little trick that people don't realize is it helps a lot with like reducing fat around certain parts. Okay. So like if you're having trouble like storing fat, a lot of times ginger can help you with that but it's really, really good in gut inflammation. Turmeric's really good in overall body inflammation. Ginger's real good if you're having like like IBS or, those kind of conditions. So I would say if you're having those conditions, talk to one of us. We'll walk you through some good gut health stuff, because a lot of times it's about getting that gut microbiome back to where you need to. So hopefully you guys had fun tonight. I won't keep you too much longer. I enjoy the crap out of this. So one day I'm going to have a bunch of people asking questions. So I'm going to put it to you guys. Ask me questions in the chat so that we can really go after any new news out there. I'm on the lookout all the time for like the latest and greatest so that we can understand it holistically and really go after it. So with that, you guys have a great night. Have a good one.